What if the Second World War had ended not with American bombers flying over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, but with a German bomb detonating over London, Moscow, or New York? It is one of the most haunting questions of the 20th century. Both the Allies and Germany raced to unlock the secrets of nuclear fission, the key to a weapon of almost unimaginable power. The United States and Britain invested billions of dollars and mobilized thousands of scientists in what became known as the Manhattan Project. Germany, with its world-class physicists and early discoveries, seemed well-positioned at the start. Yet, in the end, it was the Allies who prevailed. The story of why is a tale of science, politics, espionage, and above all, the fate of the modern world. The race began before the war itself. In 1938, German chemists Otto Hahn and Fritz Strassmann made a discovery that would change the course of history. Working in Berlin, they found that when uranium was bombarded with neutrons, the nucleus could split apart, releasing enormous energy. Hahn's colleague Lise Meitner, an Austrian-born physicist who had fled the Nazis because of her Jewish background, along with her nephew Otto Frisch, recognized the process for what it was: nuclear fission. They realized this meant a chain reaction might be possible, one in which splitting atoms could unleash an exponential release of energy. The door to the atomic age had opened, and it was German science that had first pushed it ajar. Word of this breakthrough spread quickly through the international scientific community. Physicists in Britain, France, and the United States immediately understood the implications. If such a chain reaction could be controlled, it might provide a new energy source. But if it could be uncontrolled, it might create a weapon of unprecedented destructive force. Among those alarmed was Albert Einstein, who had emigrated to the United States. In 1939, he signed a letter, drafted largely by fellow physicist Leo Szilard, warning President Franklin D. Roosevelt that Germany might be working toward such a bomb. This letter spurred the United States to begin its own inquiries that would grow into the Manhattan Project. Germany, meanwhile, also began to organize. In September 1939, just as war broke out with the invasion of Poland, the German Army Ordnance Office called together the country's leading nuclear scientists. This group, informally known as the Uranium Club, included some of the most brilliant minds of the era: Werner Heisenberg, Nobel Prize-winning physicist and pioneer of quantum mechanics; Kurt Diebner, a physicist with ties to the military; and Carl Friedrich von Weizsäcker, a theoretical physicist. At the time, many believed Germany held the advantage. Its scientists had made the crucial discovery of fission. Its universities were world-renowned. Its physicists were celebrated. If any nation could harness atomic power quickly, it seemed it would be Germany. Yet appearances were deceiving. Though the German program began early, it never gained the resources or urgency it needed. The Nazi leadership was divided on whether nuclear weapons were possible in the near term. Hitler himself, notoriously impatient with abstract science, preferred to focus on weapons he could use immediately: tanks, aircraft, rockets. The regime's anti-Semitic policies had also driven many of its greatest scientific minds, like Einstein, Szilard, Edward Teller, and Niels Bohr, to emigrate, often to the United States or Britain. Germany had brilliant scientists left, but it had lost some of the very figures most capable of pushing such a project forward. Meanwhile, the Allies began consolidating their efforts. In Britain, scientists such as Rudolf Peierls and Otto Frisch, themselves refugees from Nazi Germany and Austria, calculated in 1940 that an atomic bomb might require only a few kilograms of uranium-235, far less than previously assumed. This was a revelation. The bomb was not only possible, but potentially within reach. Britain's Maud Committee pushed forward with studies, but by 1941 it was clear that Britain, under siege, lacked the industrial capacity for such a massive undertaking. The British urged the United States to take the lead. America had the resources, the manpower, and the relative safety from attack to attempt something on such a colossal scale. In December 1941, after the attack on Pearl Harbor brought the United States fully into the war, the Manhattan Project began to take shape. Under the direction of General Leslie Groves, a no-nonsense Army engineer and physicist J. Robert Oppenheimer, the project grew into one of the largest and most secret endeavors in human history. Entire cities were built in Oak Ridge, Tennessee, and Hanford, Washington, to enrich uranium and produce plutonium. Los Alamos, New Mexico, became the center where the bomb would be designed and assembled. Tens of thousands of workers labored in secrecy, most unaware of the true purpose of their work. The cost would exceed $2 billion, tens of billions in today's money. It was a commitment of resources on a scale that Germany never came close to matching. Back in Europe, the German program struggled. Heisenberg and his colleagues pursued two possible paths, using enriched uranium or plutonium. Both required a sustained nuclear chain reaction in a reactor. To moderate such a reaction, they needed a substance to slow neutrons effectively. American and British scientists used graphite, but Heisenberg dismissed graphite as unsuitable due to impurities in the German supply. Instead, he concluded that heavy water, water in which hydrogen atoms are replaced with deuterium, was necessary. Heavy water was rare, but a production facility existed in Norway at Vemork, under German occupation. The Allies, aware of this, made the plant a target. In 1943, Norwegian commandos carried out a daring raid, destroying the facility's production capacity. Later, when Germany attempted to transport heavy water stocks to the Reich, Allied bombers and saboteurs ensured much of it was lost. Without sufficient heavy water, the German reactor project stagnated. Even more crucially, German leadership never gave the atomic project top priority. It was funded, but modestly. Scientists worked, but on a small scale compared to the vast industrial mobilization in America. Heisenberg himself, though brilliant, made errors. He miscalculated the critical mass required for a bomb, believing it would take several tons of uranium rather than kilograms. Such a weapon seemed impractical. Whether this was a genuine mistake, or, as some later speculated, a deliberate attempt to slow the Nazi program remains a matter of debate. What is clear is that these errors, combined with limited resources, kept Germany far behind. Meanwhile, the Manhattan Project advanced. In December 1942, under the stands of a football field in Chicago, Enrico Fermi and his team achieved the first controlled, self-sustaining nuclear chain reaction. It was a small pile of graphite bricks and uranium, but it proved the principle. From that point on, the momentum was unstoppable. Uranium enrichment at Oak Ridge began producing usable material, while plutonium production at Hanford accelerated. At Los Alamos, Oppenheimer's team worked on two bomb designs, a simple gun-type device for uranium and a more complex implosion design for plutonium. The challenges were immense, but resources and determination pushed the project forward. The Allies also worked to assess German progress. The ALSO's mission, a special unit attached to Allied armies, was tasked with seizing German nuclear facilities and capturing scientists before they could fall into enemy hands or be spirited away to the Soviet Union. As Allied troops advanced in 1944 and 1945, ALSO's teams scoured laboratories, mines, and universities. What they found was telling. Scattered experiments, small reactors that had never gone critical, and scientists who seemed surprised at the scale of the Allied effort. In April 1945, ALSO's captured Heisenberg himself. Soon after, they interned 10 of Germany's leading nuclear scientists in England at a country house called Farm Hall. It was there, in August 1945, that the German scientists first heard of the atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. The British had bugged the house, recording their conversations. The transcripts reveal their shock, disbelief, and in some cases, rationalizations. Heisenberg initially insisted that a bomb was impossible with the materials available, but within days he had worked out a plausible design, suggesting that his earlier miscalculations were not beyond correction. The farm hall transcripts remain a fascinating window into the minds of men who had once seemed poised to lead the world into the nuclear age, but had failed. So how close was Germany to building the bomb? The answer is not close at all, at least not by 1945. They had made progress in nuclear physics, but they lacked the industrial resources, the political will, and the scientific focus to achieve a weapon. Their reactor never reached criticality. They never built the vast facilities needed to enrich uranium or produce plutonium. They never had a design ready to assemble. At best, they were years away. By contrast, the Manhattan Project, with its enormous investment, succeeded in just 3 years. Yet the danger had been real. If Germany had given its nuclear project the highest priority in 1939 or 1940, if Hitler had trusted and supported his physicists, if heavy water supplies had not been sabotaged, if Heisenberg had not erred in his calculations, then perhaps the outcome could have been different. A German atomic bomb, even a crude one, could have altered the course of the war. The Allies feared this deeply, which is why they poured such immense resources into their own project. In the end, it was not Germany, but the United States that crossed the nuclear threshold first. The war ended with atomic fire, but it was Allied, not German, bombs that fell. The story did not end in 1945. The dawn of the nuclear age reshaped the world. The Soviet Union soon developed its own bomb, beginning the Cold War arms race. Nations around the globe sought nuclear weapons, and the shadow of Hiroshima and Nagasaki has hung over humanity ever since. Germany's failure spared the world a nightmare scenario in which the Nazis wielded such power. But the existence of the bomb in any hands changed history forever. The race for the atomic bomb was not just a contest of science, but of values, priorities, and resources. Germany had the early lead, but squandered it through prejudice, short-sightedness, and misjudgment. The Allies, driven by fear and determination, achieved what had once seemed impossible. The bomb ended one war, but opened another chapter in humanity's story, a chapter still being written today. And the question remains, what if the race had ended differently?